Oh, look at that. It worked. We have a metric of 50. But wait a second. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Where's the rest of the routes? Where's 10.11.16 and 10.11.32 and 10.11.48? Oh boy. We're not there. Why is that? Let's go back to R3. Let's take a look at that. If we look at the output of do show route map. Here's the route map we created and we applied. We have sequence number of 10. And it says match the IP address in the prefix list called redistribute 10.1.1.0 and set its metric to 50. Do you remember what we stated earlier? We stated that the implicit deny all exists at the end of a route map. Therefore, everything else is not being redistributed because there is no route map entry stating that everything else should be redistributed. So the only thing we're redistributing is what matches this particular sequence number of 10. Everything else is not being redistributed. So to fix this, we need a route map that is going to permit everything else to be redistributed. Let's create it. Route map, redistribute, so it's an entry within the same route map. And it's going to be a permit because we want to redistribute the other routes. And I'm going to give it a sequence number of 20. What am I matching? I'm matching everything else. That's what I'm doing. So, what do I put as my match condition? Nothing. Nothing at all. When there is no match condition within a sequence, it means match absolutely everything. Match absolutely everything. And I don't want to change it from the default values when we redistribute everything, so we're not going to set anything either. So I'm done. It was that easy. So let's look at the output of show route map. And now we can see we have our sequence number of 10, which affects the specific addresses identified in the prefix list, setting the metric to 50. And then everything else here, as you can see, there's no match condition in sequence 20. There's no set clause. So match everything and redistribute it, because it's a permit statement, with the default values. Let's go back to R7. Did that solve our problem? Right now, if you look at the routing table, it only has this one with a 50, and it's an E2. It's 10.110/28. Let's look at it again. There's the rest of them. And notice specifically that they all have values of what for their metric? 20. Let's look at another example of how we can control the redistribution here. Let's now make sure that 10.11.16/28 has a metric type of E1. A metric type of E1. Let's go back to R3. On R3, we need to create a prefix list that matches 10.11.16/28. So IP prefix list. And in this case, it's going to be a completely different prefix list. So let's just call it prefix list underscore 10.1.1.16/28. And what are we doing? Keeping it simple for ourselves. So permitting specifically 10.1.1.16/28. So it's an exact match to this particular prefix list. It's not a range that we're defining. So what do we want to do now? We want to apply it in a route map. But we're using the same route map on R3. And what is that route map called? The route map is called redistribute. redis. So what do I want to do? I want to apply this between sequence 10 and sequence 20. That's where I want to apply it. Why? Because sequence 20 is saying, match everything and just let it through. If I put this as sequence 30, we have a problem. Because top-down processing, this route would hit sequence 20 before it hits sequence 30, which would be changing the metric type to what? E1. So I need to put it in between 10 and 20. Let's just use a 13 in this case for fun. So route-map. What is it called? Redis. We are going to what? We said permit. And sequence number in this case would be 13. We're going to match IP address, and it's a prefix list. And the prefix list was titled PL 10.11.16/28. Let's apply that down here. And what are we going to set? We're going to set the metric type to type 1. Let's look at our route map. Show route-map. So now we can see sequence 10, sequence 13, and sequence 20. Top-down processing, immediate execution upon a match. And sequence 13 says we're going to match the addresses within prefix list titled PL 10.101.16/28, and we're going to set the metric type to 1. This should have already taken effect. I shouldn't have to do anything else. Let's go over to R7 and see what R7 is now seeing about the 10.1.1.16 network.